Good morning, listeners. It is that time of the week again. And thank you so much for putting the time aside, or at least listening while you are carrying on with whatever you're busy with to share this time with us and with me in particular. It is appreciated. We've had a lovely request from Josh to talk about prioritizing tasks, setting achievable goals, and of course, avoiding time wasters. And that is quite a mouthful, Josh, but let's tackle it and see how much we can get through in the time that we have to talk about it. So first thing I'm going to talk about is goals. So why have goals? If you don't have goals, you don't know whether you're succeeding, do you? It's like a ship not knowing which harbor to sail to, so any wind is favorable because it really doesn't have a particular direction it wants to go in. And also, if we don't know what we want to achieve and we don't have goals, life is a little bit, I want to say, boring and pointless. So we do have to have goals. And how do we set those goals? So your goals obviously will reflect your personal ambition. And if you look at your life around you, if you look at what you have achieved, those would give you ideas of where your dominant thinking has been. So if you look around and it's great and you're proud of what you've achieved and some successes that you've had, then you know your thinking's on the right track. It may need tweaking, but it's on the right track. However, if you look around you and you think, this is not how I envisaged my life, this is not where I want to be, this is not how I want to be, then you know your thinking needs a lot of attention. So setting goals, setting achievable goals, first of all, I don't know if you've heard of SMART goals. It's an acronym. The S is for specific. Your goals have to be specific. Using the example of, let's say I say to you, I'm going to paint the house. That's all good and well, but I haven't told you when I'm starting, what color I've got in mind, what my budget is, etc. So I'm going to paint the house really means it could be tomorrow, it could be the end of the year, it could be next year sometime. It's very vague. So your goals have to be specific, as in, I am going to paint the house. I want to start on Saturday and I want to have the job done in 3 weeks' time. My budget is X amount. I have looked at color charts and I've got a pretty good idea of what colors I'm going to be buying. But Saturday I'm starting and I am giving myself 3 weeks. So it's a very specific task. And then the M in SMART goals is measurable. By the end of the first weekend, I can measure and say, well, I have managed to paint 3 rooms, or I have done the preparation and painted 1 room. I can measure it. So that means I would have to do X amount over the next umpteen days if I want to have the entire job finished in 2 or 3 weeks. So it's very measurable. The same as losing weight. Saying I want to lose weight, again, is vague, but be specific. I want to lose 5 kilograms. Right. I want to lose 500 grams a week. That's measurable. In other words, it is going to take me 10 weeks to lose 5 kilograms. The A in SMART is achievable. It must be achievable in terms of time, ability, resources, and capabilities. And here again, the weight loss. Listeners, I see these ads that say, you can lose 12 Ks in a month or you can lose 2 kgs a week. It is not achievable unless you are going to exercise yourself to the bone and starve yourself at the same time, which is 1, not healthy, 2, not sustainable, and 3, again, I doubt very much achievable. So it has to be achievable. I have to be able to say, okay, I want to get another qualification. Yes, I can get that particular qualification. I already meet the entrance criteria. I have got the time to devote to the studies. I have got the money to pay for my studies. And I know that intellectually I'm capable of achieving this particular qualification. If it's a case like I want to be an astronaut, well, it is not achievable. It is not a realistic goal. I haven't got the qualifications. I am too old. I am not mathematically capable. There's a whole slew of reasons I can give you why that is not an achievable goal. So make it achievable. Otherwise, you become demotivated. So you need to say, I want to achieve running a marathon. Then you need to know that I am physically capable. If you need to have a medical, have a medical. I know how I have to start. I know how I can progress and increase the distance. I know that I want to run my first marathon in 6 months' time. And so everything is measurable, it's specific, it's achievable. You have the time, you have the ability, you have the resources, you have the capability, you could go and buy the running shoes, etc. Then the next one, the R in SMART, is, Josh, it must be relevant. You know, if I am, in my case, a life coach, and I say, well, my goal is to go and become a netball player, it really isn't relevant to what I'm doing. It really isn't achievable because, as we have discussed in the past, my ball skills are sadly lacking. It's not going to, in my particular case, enhance my life quality in any specific way. So it must be relevant to my overall life goal, my what I want to achieve and how I envisage my future self. And then lastly, as I say, the T in SMART, it must be time bound. There must be a sense of urgency and there must be accountability. It is a good idea to keep a record because, as we said, your goals must be measurable. I have painted 3 rooms the first week. I have lost my 500 grams. The first week of my diet, I have managed to run whatever distance I need to run, should I wish to run a marathon in 6 months' time, etc., etc. Or I'm managing to stay up to date and confident in my assignments that I have to submit for a qualification I have to get. And there has to be that accountability that if I don't do it, that I am going to hold myself accountable and I will have to make up for it. I will have to work twice as hard next week. I will have to put extra hours into my studying. I will have to adjust my time scale and my small incremental goals so that I can stay on target. If for a good reason, let's say I have an injury and so I couldn't run for 2 weeks, then of course, then you have to adjust your time limit, your exercise schedule, etc., because you have a really legitimate reason why you are now not going to achieve that specific goal in that set time, and your measurables are going to be need adjusting. So goals have to be SMART, specific, measurable, achievable in time, ability, resource, and capabilities. They have to be relevant and they have to be time bound. It's not a daydream, it's a goal. So it has to have a time. By a certain time, you need to have achieved that particular goal. So I hope that helps you with achievable goals, how to set achievable goals. And of course, it all goes to what the particular overall vision you have for your life. Then the next one that kind of follows on naturally is priority. Prioritizing tasks. Once I know what my goals are, and once I know what my time frame is, once I have my SMART goals, then prioritizing becomes a bit easier, because now I know. Again, I can use the example when I was studying part-time. I was working, I had a family, and I was studying part-time. I was going to lectures at night. So for me, Saturday mornings were spent on varsity work. It was a priority. It was not a priority to go and meet my mates for coffee. It was not a priority to go to a braai. It was a priority for me to say, you know what, I have got an assignment due, I've got a test coming up or whatever. So I have to prioritize my varsity commitments. And so Saturday mornings were spent on that. So what do you want to achieve? What will it take to achieve it? When do you want to achieve it by? That will help you to prioritize your tasks once you've identified your goals. And then I want to throw in here impact versus effort. And it also links in with the time wasters that you talk about, avoiding time-wasting activities. Ask yourself, what's the impact and what's the effort? So we have quick wins. It's not a lot of effort, but it's a great impact. Then we have major projects. A lot of effort. It's probably long-term, but the returns are going to be huge. We've got fill-in jobs. They are little effort, little return. It's like filing. It really doesn't take a lot of effort. There's not much return in it, except it has to be done at some point so that you can be reasonably organized. And then the total time wasters are the things that are time-consuming for very little or no return. Those are the time wasters, but I'll get back to that. So prioritizing tasks become easier once you've identified your SMART goals and you've set them out clearly so that you know exactly where you are on your specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound goals. And as I say, relevant, achievable is important, because otherwise, if you set yourself goals that are unrealistic in the time span or in the ability or in your resources, it becomes very demoralizing to yet again have set out to do something and yet again you have not done it. And of course, procrastination is a big thing when it comes to wasting time. We all know when we are procrastinators. But let me just revert back to prioritizing tasks become easier once you have your SMART goals in place. And then it's a case of having good habits so that you know I've got to run. So I need to get up in the morning and I'll go for my run early in the morning, because then I'm not tired at the end of the day. I don't get delayed with in traffic or with extra work in the office, or just coming home and it's so hot and I've had a long day and I just haven't got it in my legs to pull on my running kit and go for a 10 or 12 kilometer run. So that's prioritizing. I get up early, I do it in the morning. I'm very much a morning person, so when I have to do a big project, a big public speaking preparation, or when I was at varsity, I would get up early, 3 o'clock in the morning, settle down with a cup of coffee and do what I need to do. Now, some people work better at night, and that's great. Some people are sparrows and some people are owls. And if you're an owl and you work great at night when the house is quiet and people have gone to sleep, and then you know you can set that time aside. So prioritizing your tasks and setting the time aside is self-mastery, good habits, and discipline. Discipline, discipline, discipline. You will not achieve your goals without a healthy dose of self-discipline. And that means not being talked into doing other things, not being made to feel guilty because you have other priorities, and that is to achieve your goals. Avoiding time-wasting activities. This, is influenced by your goals and by your priorities. However, the common time wasters, Josh, is too much screen time. Coming home from work, falling on the couch, reaching for the remote, and there it goes. 2-3 hours later, you are still on the couch and basically you've achieved nothing. Scrolling on our phones. Look when you go out, when you're in a restaurant, a coffee shop, walking in the supermarket, people have got their cell phones glued to their ears and they're having these conversations while shopping. And I cannot imagine what is so important that you have to do that. So too much screen time, too much scrolling on your phone, these games, Xbox, PlayStation, all those things, too much time on those activities. They are time wasters. They achieve nothing. They add nothing. Now, having said that, listeners, please, I don't want you all to have apoplexy there. I know they're part of life. I know we all enjoy a bit of TV time. We all have a look at our phones and so on and so forth. But again, the self-discipline, the prioritizing comes in and say, you know what, I'm going to allow myself an hour when I get home in the evening to just unwind with whatever it is you do, watching a bit of TV, catching up on the sport, scrolling on your phone, whatever it is. But then I set an alarm. After an hour, I switch it off and I now go and do something that is not wasting my time. Reading a good book, planning my next day so that your following day starts with a plan. If you're in a position where you are managing people, it is important to have a time during the day when your door is closed. So the open door policy is all good and well, but people are forever popping their heads into your office. Sometimes a quick question, how do I, don't I, what? Or just, did you watch the game last night? Who do you think the Sharks are playing tomorrow evening? What are your thoughts on that? And so it goes, and the constant interruption becomes a huge waste of time. So if you say to your staff, between 9 and 11, don't disturb me. Before that, after that, I will open my door and it's fine, but I need 2 hours uninterrupted focus on what I need to do to plan. Set a time aside when you look at your emails and respond to emails that need your response. Make sure your response to your email contains all the information that the sender is looking for, that the sender doesn't come back and say, yes, but I also need you to do X. So make sure you execute your tasks thoroughly. We have talked about the 7 C's of communication, so make sure they're clear, they're concise, they contain all the information, so that there's not a backwards and forwards between you and the sender, because you are sending, half or a quarter or 3/4 of the information that the sender is requiring. But you first email answers all the questions, gives him or her all the information they need, and that's it. It's done. You don't have to go back to it. So plan your day. Set priorities for the next day so that your day starts with a plan, with those mini micro goals that helps you to achieve. And at the end of the day, ask yourself, how did I do? Where can I improve? Now, we all need downtime, and plan your downtime. As I say, it's not just TV. It's not just scrolling. For example, last Sunday was a gorgeous day, and my husband, myself, and Mango, our border collie, packed a picnic, and we went to the botanical gardens, and pets are allowed there on a leash. So we had a wonderful walk through these beautiful gardens, and afterwards we had a picnic under a tree, and we just sat there and we chatted and we looked at the bird life and so on. And it was just a lovely morning, out of our normal environment, literally relaxing, nothing else to disturb you. So plan some quality downtime. And if you have family, they will appreciate it. So that downtime makes up for the other times, the evenings, the early mornings, that you say, look, guys, sorry, I can't do this with you or that with you. Please, I need to be left alone so I can study, complete a project, work on whatever you need to work on, and work towards your goals. So planning meaningful downtime that will include the people you care about and who care about you will avoid the resentment of you're always working, you haven't got time for me, you're neglecting us, or you're neglecting me, or I might as well not be in a relationship because you're never available, etc., etc. So, plan your downtime that it includes the people you care about, and maybe ask them, what would you guys like to do? And let's make it something where we can really be present. Going to a movie is good and well, but you're not present. We're all engaged in the movies, and we just happen to be sitting in a row like sparrows on a telephone line. But we're not really. It's nice to do things where you are focused and present on each other. So plan your downtime, and then also learn to say no. And Josh, here I'm going to say to you, there's a way of saying yes to the person but no to the request. So if somebody says to you, please can you help me move? Please can you do the email for me? Please can you do whatever? And then we don't want to just say no, because then we come across as a little bit uncooperative, a little bit, obstinate, etc. So what we do is we say, you know what? I would love to help you do that, but unfortunately at the moment I'm swamped with a particular task, or I just simply haven't got the time to do it. But if it can wait till tomorrow or next week, whatever your schedule is, then I would love to help you. Or you can say, you know what, I really, really would love to help you, but I haven't got the time. But why don't you ask Peter or Susie or Graham? They may well be in a position to help you. So you make an alternative suggestion. If it is something that you can't do, then you say, look, I haven't got enough knowledge. It's way out of my wheelhouse. So as much as I'd love to help, I'm the wrong person. You need to find someone who has the necessary skills and knowledge. And of course, if it's something you're not going to do now, not tomorrow, not next week, next month, ever, then you have to say, look, as much as I'd love to help you, that is not going to happen. And for the following reasons: I haven't got the time, I haven't got the inclination, I haven't got the skills, the knowledge. It is something I don't want to get involved in. So please accept my apology. And again, you may suggest another alternative, but that way you don't overcommit. You have boundaries, and we've spoken about boundaries before. You cannot say yes to everything everyone asks you. You cannot be all things to all men. You cannot be a people's pleaser, because your own goals will suffer. You will be letting yourself down in a profound way. So you need, first of all, Josh, you need to plan. And say, if you procrastinate, then you know you are doing things to avoid doing the things you ought to be doing. And in your heart of hearts, everybody, if you're a procrastinator, you know it. So it's habits, it's discipline. Get to those things that you need to do. Execute them well. My late father always said, if you haven't got the time to do something properly, when are you going to find the time to redo it? And that is so true. So if you have to do something, do it to the best of your ability. But I hope that helps, Josh. That's a lot that we covered in a relatively short time. If you would like notes on what we've discussed, or anybody else, any other listener, please drop me an email. It is Lee Foulis Life Coach, or lowercase, one word, @gmail.com. Or you can phone me on 082 330 2439, and I will happily email you the notes and give you a bit more around that, so that you can work towards your goals and, as they say, live your best life. So thank you for the time. I hope that was helpful, Josh. As I say, if not, please contact me and let's discuss more about this, because it is a very important topic that can be extrapolated upon. But so far, thank you for your time. Thank you for spending it with South Coast Radio, and of course with our amazing host Ryan Moodley. And I hope you have a wonderful Thursday and a wonderful weekend ahead. Till next week.
The radio station you can't live without. This is your radio.
This is South Coast Radio.